Well, hello and welcome to the weekly Mix and Mash, brought to you by the Midweek Mash Tattie. I'm your host, Harvey, the Devil Doctor Smith. With me today is Michael, the Dark Shadow Allen, and Paul, the Poison Child Care. How you doing, boys?
Not bad, man. It's good to see you.
Good to see you too.
How you doing? How was the roller skating, bud?
It was fantastic.
Did it go well?
Loved it. Aye. Went well.
Quality, man. Quality.
Oh, man.
Can I just ask, was my name Dark Shadow?
The Dark Shadow, yes.
The Dark Shadow. Have you ever seen a light shadow? I'm curious.
No, well, you see, it's not me that does the name, so like
He's just bringing the news, man.
the information, and they just fling me the name. So I'm like, all right, cool. The Dark Shadow. The slightly dark. I've seen a slightly dark shadow.
Aye.
You know,
Variations of shadow shades.
oh,
I want a Dulux colour chart of shadow shades. That's what I want.
Which shade is your shadow?
That's your villain names, by
Oh,
the
the
way.
villain name. So the Poison Child.
That's
not
bad, like.
not bad with that.
Poison
to
Child,
that.
aye.
That's like an MMA name, isn't it?
I like the Dark Shadow though. I don't know why.
Like the Dark Shadow.
That sounds like something DC would do.
Dark.
Mm.
Dark Shadow.
Dark Shadow.
Dark Shadow, starring Michael Allen.
First edition.
No wait, well, Michael Allen is the Dark Shadow, so who would play you in the Dark Michael in a movie?
Jesus Christ.
Is it-
Who would be making a movie?
I've
aye?
went with that.
Who would you like to play you?
I don't know. Aye, who would you like to play you?
I don't know. Tom Hardy?
But Tom Hardy, aye.
I should have thought about that. Aye.
What about you, Harvey? Who would you be? Who would play you, sorry?
Who would play me?
Aye, who would play you?
I don't know.
Who would you like to play?
I don't know. Jason Momoa.
Oh, yes! Jason
Steady
Momoa!
on. Steady
We
on.
it would just have to put a few pounds on though. But,
And
aye.
Couple of doner
Broke
kebabs.
a couple of inches off.
Well, aye, there's
Oh,
that.
that's
thing,
also true, like, he is literally a giant, that guy.
He is tall, but you know they can date in a way that he doesn't look so tall. You know, it's all good.
Wee bit of
Just
camera
throw him in a hole.
trickery.
Oh, what about you, Paul?
What's the name of that guy who played Rab Nisbet? God, I don't know. I genuinely don't know. Who looks like me?
I
I don't really look like anybody. I'm quite a plain guy.
What's your
could
guy
see-
that plays? Oh Christ, I can't even mind his name. And Brooklyn Nine-Nine, the crazy one.
Oh, he's the voice of Jay and Big Mouth.
Yes!
Aye.
Jason
Aye.
Mantzoukas.
Aye.
The that'll
Aye,
take.
that's the
He's
one.
also in
Aye.
the league. Rafi Ban. Garaka. Aye, I'll have
He could
that.
play you. But you had your long hair and that.
I just need to grow the hair back out. Aye.
I was thinking Adam Sandler, but I quite like that suggestion.
Aye.
Can I mix the two of them? You're somewhere there. Aye, you're no far between. I've got the kind of build Adam Sandler now. The lack of gym in the past sort of 4 months has sent me down the Adam Sandler path physically.
Oh God.
One of the long run.
Anyway. Just got to say before we get going, but you know, we're anyway.
Off and out of here.
So just got to put a stop to this now. Let's get cracking. So just before we get started, just a quick reminder that you can find us on all social media platforms. We also have a YouTube channel where we have short clips of our recordings. You can find us on our webpage, the midweekmashtattie.com. We have some blogs on there. You have a link to our merch page. We have an About Us page. Each of us have an About section. You can get to know us a little bit better. You also find a link for a Buy Me a Coffee link that you could buy us a coffee. That would we would appreciate that if you want to support us that way. The best way that you can support us though is share us with a friend or a family member or co-worker, anybody who likes to listen to podcasts, and especially sports podcasts. Without further ado, let's mix it up. So today, just want to start off by talking a wee bit about rugby. So the Six Nations, obviously, we have 2 games left. Have you guys seen anything about Thomas Francis, who plays for Wales? He had a concussion injury. He was took off for the concussion protocol, and he's been out. But now he's been cleared to play against France.
I did see a headline saying that it was cleared to play, but I don't know any details about like the concussion or whatever else.
It's not something I've seen a great deal on, mate. No.
Yeah. All right. So basically, he passed concussion protocols after he suffered a head injury in a defeat by England. Right. But there's a doctor out there who thinks that he shouldn't play. It's an unnecessary, but this is a quote from him. So Professor John Fairclough says selection would put Francis at an unnecessary risk of serious harm. But obviously, Wales are saying that they passed the protocol, so they're in the squad. Right.
So did he or did he not suffer a concussion?
Well, you see, it doesn't say that here. I haven't seen it, but I think he did. But now he's been cleared from said concussion. So
in 2 weeks he's fully recovered for a concussion?
Apparently so.
Sounds dubious.
So the thing is, why are they risking? Because right now Wales are in the same position as Scotland. We have 5 points. We have 2 games left to play, right? So we're on 5 points. France have 14, right? And then Ireland have 11, England have 10. So in order for Wales to win the Six Nations, they have to win their 2 games, plus they need to win with 2 bonus points. So it's a hard ask. Why are you going to risk a player when realistically there's not a great chance that you'd got to win the Six Nations?
Mm-hmm.
Why are you going to put that player at risk?
Seems dumb. I think for some instant perspective, bearing in mind I'm not a doctor or a brain surgeon or anything else, it's my understanding that a concussion, the brain after a concussion takes anywhere for about 2 to 3 months to fully heal, depending on the severity of the concussion. So the notion that somebody might suffer a concussion and then heal in 2 weeks is just not conducive to the science, basically. If they're convinced that he never had a concussion, then maybe okay, they feel like he's an integral part of the team, but then, to your point, Harvey, what does it matter? Either want to win the games, but even if they win the games, like, that's not enough, just winning them. So, like, is he going to make that much? Like, is he the difference that gets them the bonus points that they need? Like, I don't know. I don't know what they're thinking here.
I have no idea. So there is an article on the BBC where this Professor Fairclough, talks about it and says it's a grave danger and stuff. So if you go into BBC Rugby Union, you'll see it on there. The headline is go into the Six Nations page and you'll see Wales warned about picking Thomas Francis against France.
I've come across it here, man. It's quite damning, really.
So it is, because when you look down, and so this is Fairclough's words. I'm quoting him here. So he's saying, like any Welsh fan, I want to see Thomas Francis in the Welsh team because he's a terrific player and would be key and would be key against a very good French side. But I have carefully reviewed the footage numerous times, and in my expert view, it is beyond any doubt Thomas had suffered a brain injury. As someone who has taken an oath to protect life, I can't in all good consciousness fail to highlight what I think him playing the next game puts him at an unnecessary risk of serious harm, whether that be now or in the future. And he goes on and says the HIA, the head injury assessment protocols undertaken during the England game, were shown to be not fit for purpose. So,
okay.
So if you have somebody saying that, like, it's not those words are pretty damning. Those words are pretty damning. You know what I mean? Like, it doesn't look good for you. He's saying that the protocols are not fit for purpose, so he's passed the protocol, but like on what merit? You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like, so, and then he's saying that his life could be in danger. Like, you know, it's crazy, man.
Well, I think it comes down to risk and reward. Is it really worth risking this man when the Six Nations Championship is out of sight for Wales? I mean, realistically, it's completely out of sight. So, if you're asking, I think
exactly
my personal opinion, it is absolutely not worth risking.
Mm-hmm.
There needs to stop being this sort of kind of, he's just had his bell rung, he'll be fine kind of attitude. Which I fear might be the problem here. For a doctor to write an open letter, one who previously worked with Welsh Rugby, which I've just noticed, is surely worth Welsh Rugby's kind of business to investigate this properly.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you would think.
Yeah. So you'd think they would do the right thing and say, well, you know what, let's just wait and let's get a second opinion from somebody else, an outside agent.
Absolutely.
Like, you know, but like, that's sorry, I forgot to mention that as well. That it was himself, Professor Fairclough, and another professor, Bill Ribbons. The two of them wrote an open letter to the Welsh Rugby Union, who they worked with in the past. I mean, in that letter, this is there's 12 criteria, one signs and symptoms, with 6 possibly observed on video, and the remaining 5 identified during the on-field assessment. So, I
mean, that is damning.
So they go on to say the typical observation on the video are confirmed: loss of consciousness, suspected loss of consciousness, convulsion, tonic posturing, balance disturbance / ataxia, and clearly dazed. Because obviously during that game, when he got the head injury, when he got back to his feet, he had to lean against a post, and like he wasn't steady, and he took off, and then he was allowed back on. Like, this seems to be like a problem in rugby. Everybody thought that rugby had it like figured out and were doing it better than everybody else when it came on to head injuries. But now, over the past couple of months, we're seeing that, well, maybe not.
It's looking to me like the HIA is, it's almost like a band-aid, you know what I mean? It's no fixing the problem, it's just masking it. So the problem is that fundamentally it's still bred into rugby players that they should toughen up and play through injuries and stuff. And what they've really done with the HIA is they've ticked the box so that when it's questioned that, I don't think he should be playing, well, they can say, well, he passed the HIA. You know what I mean? It's treated like that rather than I'm concerned about this player's health. He needs a HIA. Let's see if he needs further medical treatment. It's more a case of, I went tick a box and send him back when you've done it.
Aye.
Are we an age now where we don't trust sportsmen, by the way? It's what I was going to ask. Sorry, I just jumped on you there, Harvey. But,
No.
But are we at an age now where we shouldn't be trusting what sportsmen are saying in these kind of assessments? Like, this is breaking topic altogether, but it's just an example. I was listening to the Michael Bisping interview in Rogan where he was talking about lying during the eye exams just so he could get to fight.
Yeah.
So, is it a case of you just cannot take their opinion of how they think they are you can't trust it because their will to compete is going to overrule their own common sense and need to protect themselves?
Well, that's why my knees are mashed up.
The midweek mashed knees.
my knees, my shoulder, like, you can't trust sportsmen or sportspersons because at the end of the day they just want to compete. And even if you're hurting a wee bit, you just think to yourself, it's just that bit of pain to know because it just happened. It'll go away in a minute.
Yep.
You know what I mean? I can run it off. Like that inside you, that you just want to keep competing instead of doing the smart thing and saying, well, you know what? Let me get this seen to properly and see what is what. You know? So no, you can't trust sportsmen, but you should be able to trust the medical team. And
True.
This is the problem I have. The medical teams have their own HIAs criteria, right? So they check the player and, okay, yeah, he's good, and they send him back on. Now, there's an independent doctor there who does HIAs, but only when they see something that they're not happy with. So, as long as the medical team of said team is seen to be doing their job correctly, then there's no reason for the independent doctor to step in unless she sees, like, if the player gets back on, he or she sees the player getting back on, or kind of like they don't look right on their feet, then they can say, "Oh, come off" or whatever. To me, I think if they really want to do it properly, there should be an independent doctor who does every single HIA for each team. So but it would have to be, because then obviously with their own teams doing it, they're going to be biased, right? But if you have the same doctor doing it at several games, they might get friendly with one team, so then they could be biased as well further down the line. So I think you would have, the only way that you could do that is if each game has a different doctor. Like they have to keep. It can't be just like a set of 5 doctors that do these HIAs for every, like, each game, each tournament or whatever. It has to be different ones each time, so that they don't have that chance to build up a rapport with a certain.
Should there be an impartiality the way there is with refs? Like a stock amount of them.
Aye.
Like they work with their association, but they go to separate games.
I don't think that the teams should have doctors doing HIAs. I think it should be only done by impartial physicians.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, so this, like in the Six Nations, they employ a doctor who does HIAs, but they don't do them right now unless they see something that they're not happy that the other team's been doing. Do you know what I mean? So there shouldn't be HIAs from any team. It should just be that doctor, as you say.
I think that's a pretty common sense approach, mate. Yeah, I agree with that.
But I can see why they don't want to, because you then run the risk of having a lot of players out through head injuries, which they'll not want. However, if that's going to give them better quality of life later down the line, because they're not getting concussions and every couple of months or every 6 months, etc., then it's worth it. It's just something that we'll have to deal with. Like,
So they've got
like HIAs can be really nasty later on, like brain injuries. Like it leads to a lot of nasty stuff later on down the line. In fact, in some cases it happens when the people are young. Like they have too many concussions, and then 26, 27, like they're struggling to walk, they're struggling to remember things.
Behavioural changes,
The
and
temperament, the temperament changes. Like
look at the kind of untold story, the story that's held back about football. The biggest cause of sort of long term brain issues, TBIs, and not so much TBIs because they tend to come from big impacts, but sort of longer term concussions. I forget, there's a term for like an ongoing concussion, like a recurring concussion. I can't remember what you call it. And then also obviously like CTE if it gets extreme.
Yeah, CTE.
It's been shown that heading a football over a period of time, like if you play, Sunday League or whatever, and you're heading the ball, I don't know, 20 times a week for X amount of weeks a year for X amount of years, that adds up to bad brain health later in life. Sometimes if you do it regularly enough, as you're saying, late 20s, early 30s, you're already seeing signs that are pointing to issues with brain health, CTE, early onset Alzheimer's and stuff like that, if in extreme cases. It happens, and it is something, I don't know why it's so slow to catch on. I mean, I think one element of it is that the notion that sports as we know them might have to be altered to protect people, and people love their sports the way they are and they don't want to see change, so that's probably an element. Competitors, as you say, they want to compete, they don't want to take time away, they don't want to lose out in money, they don't want to lose out in fame, whatever it is, just a chance to compete because they're competitive people and they live for the competition, so they don't want to take time away. So, but we just need to, I think the rules need to be very clear and very strict, and we just need to learn to live with them.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Absolutely, mate.
The one thing I would say with the football, that's why in Scotland they banned children from heading football now. Was it 12 and under?
Something like that.
I don't know.
Something like that.
I mean, the exact age.
It's a step in the right direction, but it's not a big enough step. These things will take time, but the rugby, like, it's as I said, we all thought that we had it down pat, but it's proven to be that we don't really. It's old. Here's the team doctor who gets paid by us, so he would do whatever. Unless it's really bad and really clear, then they'll just get a tick in the box and sent back on, and it really needs to change.
Anytime there's a system, a set of rules, somebody will find a way around it if it benefits them. So I think we've had HIA protocols in place for a number of years now in rugby. I think it's time to revise the protocols based on what we're seeing now with teams trying to circumvent the rules, and like that incident a couple of weeks ago with the team doctors arguing that the player's fine, and the independent doctors like, what are you talking about? You know what I mean? I need to check them. Like, did you not see whatever it was that they saw? Like, did you not see that? You know what I mean? Like that should not happen.
No, it shouldn't. It shouldn't. Definitely should not. I agree. But at the point in time now where these rules and regulations need to be revised. I mean, rules and regulations in rugby are like, they're not like any other sport. They are constantly getting updated.
Yep, especially international.
Like every year you'll see a new rule, new regulation come in. So why can we not have a rule and regulation in place for HIAs that are going to look after a player's health, not just now, but later on in life?
Yep.
On that note, we're going to move on to Paul's Quack of the Week. This should be an interesting one.
The target of my ire this week is solely pointed at the man in the mirror. To quote Michael Jackson, or whoever the hell sung it. It was Michael Jackson. I'm looking at the man in the mirror, and that is me. It is me this week, lads.
Can I get a
That was actually really good. So, good luck editing that. That is loud. But I remember a good few months ago, kind of in the embryonic stage of the podcast, back in the 3 hour a week, 1 episode days, I predicted that Livingston would drop like a stone from the Scottish Premier League. And I also predicted that Aberdeen looked in very good shape off of the back of the Europa League qualifiers in which they took part in, and along with their signings, that they were in good shape to comfortably take third place. We're now in March, and Livingston are 4th, and Aberdeen are 10th. So, of the week is 100% me for knowing fuck all about football. What does Paul know about football? This is why I should stick to pro wrestling. So that is it. Just burying myself this week, lads.
Oh, man.
Apologies to Davey for Dagestan. Davey Martindale, you are the man. Clearly.
Dagestani Dave.
Yep.
But you know what's funny? This is another right problem with Scottish football, and why we need a bigger league. Look at the league table; it is shocking. So you have Celtic in first place with 73 points, Rangers in second place with 70 points, and then you dropped into third with Hibs 50 points.
So you're saying they've got a chance?
Like, sure, I mean, and then from third place, the next best place teams are Livingston and Hibs, and 4th and 5th respectively. They're on 37 points, so they're 13 behind third place, 20 behind. But what's even better is 4th and 5th in our league are on minus for the goal difference.
Exactly.
Minus, like, what the hell is that all about? like
SPL, the most competitive league in the world. Yeah.
So, blows my mind.
5 points separate 4th from 10th. None of those teams have a positive goal difference. None. It's just a giant mid-table.
Aye. There's only 3 teams out of 12 with a positive goal difference. Hearts have an 11, plus 11. Rangers have plus 36 and Celtic are plus 47. Oh, man.
Aye.
Scottish football.
Brutal.
And then the top 6 have got to get European football this year.
So the top 6 get European football. Thankfully, Hearts in third, who have been considerably better than the best of the rest, will get into the Conference League group stages, and deservedly so.
Aye.
But below Hearts, it is just utter drivel. And I swear, if it's Livingston and Ross County and St Mirren that end up in the top 6, I give in Scottish football. It can take flying. It can take a running, flying fuck to itself, and so can Aberdeen, Hibs, and Dundee United, for that matter. Because their budgets are double, treble, even quadruple of what Livingston are putting out financially. It is an embarrassment.
I want to see Ross County versus a big German team or something.
They'll get absolutely punched. Ross County couldn't be the champions of Faroe Islands, never mind the champions of Germany. It's a joke.
Oh, man.
Livingston. A joke. Anyway, so don't even get me started.
Don't get me started on European football, because
Bill Davies proved you wrong once.
And by the way, it's like nobody excited for Sting in a wrestling pay-per-view. I should know better. I should know better.
I mean, in European football, Celtic are horrendous.
Oh, well, that's another story.
Like, I love it when we get into European football. Like, I'm like, yes, Champions League qualifiers. Like, and then it's like, that's right, we're shite in Europe. So sure.
We've got brawlights, we've got a cool stadium.
Oh man!
I mean, there's a perfect example. Bodo Glimt were Norwegian champions, but they're not even halfway through the pre-season and they're thumping Celtic away from home. A Norwegian team.
Exactly. They beat Roma. Okay, cool. That doesn't like they were in season then. Like now they're in pre-season. Celtic should be running everything. Like, you know what I mean? Like, anyway, not to take anything away from Bodo Glimt, like, you know what I mean? But, crazy.
Bodo Glimt are closer to the Arctic Circle than we are to France. Anyway, never mind. No, I'm fed up. That wee guy on social media had it right, didn't he? Mind when he said like, oh, Bodo Glimt, oh great, it's a Livingston away exactly
game for us. That's exactly what it turned out to be.
Arctic spaghetti.
I mean, Michael, did you know, like, so Celtic beat Livingston the other day at Tony Macaroni Stadium. Do you know how long it's been since Celtic have won at the Tony Macaroni Stadium?
I don't remember the number, but Paul was telling me about it the other day.
15 years.
15 years since they had success in the spaghetti had.
Aye, mental. Oh, God.
Wales, love Scottish pepper. No, I don't. Oh, jeez, bye. Get me away from this pepper part. It's depressing me.
Oh, God.
Question, just before he moves on.
Aye.
So, we're discussing how the Scottish League breaks down as top two,
right?
Then
runaway third,
a team in third, and then everybody else is the mid card.
The riff-raff.
Right? How does increasing the number of teams aid in making that more competitive?
I used to have an answer, I don't know. It just means it would be fucking 16 teams all sitting in the same points.
Is there not just... there's just more teams at the bottom, no?
Just more riff-raff. See, now I would agree. More riff-raff. It would just be more riff-raff.
More riff-raff,
Aberdeen getting beat for fucking Arbroath at home and all that kind of nonsense.
It could be a thing next year.
Exactly. I mean, they're sitting top of the championship.
Aye.
They've got boys in their team that are PE teachers. They could be a Premier League team. Right back's a funeral director. I don't actually know if he is, by the way. I'm just joking.
Oh, man.
Probably is.
Oh, good.
Goalie cleans windies during the week.
Oh, jeez.
Oh, man. Oh, God. I think that increasing the teams in the league will have the desired effect of increasing what's that word I'm looking for here?
The quality?
Competitiveness in the league.
No, the quality.
Because like when you quality, but you have the top teams up there, you're playing these teams over and over again, so you kind of get to know them in the way that they play. If you're only playing teams twice a year, you don't really get that chance to know them that well, and their style of play and through scouting and stuff, you'll get to know like who the main threats is and all that. But you have to, like Celtic and Rangers and we'll say Hearts will have to be on point every week. They have to come out playing every week, or they'll get points taken off them. So we'll definitely make it more competitive. The quality partner, don't know. There's something you have to, I don't know. I mean, we've seen with countries that have smaller leagues, they have a very good youth setup, and a lot of like youth players come through and like progress in those leagues and then head out into Europe. Maybe that's what we just need to do. Just youth, send them off so that at least our national team's good.
Aye.
You know what I mean? Like,
I would take that.
Like the Netherlands. Like the Netherlands, like, you know what I mean? Their teams are shite now, but some of the best players in the world.
Damn right.
No offence to all of them. But, anyway, let's move on for that. So the other thing that I wanted to talk about today was the impact on sports due to this Russian invasion, or as Putin put it, special military exercise in Ukraine, I think is what he said. Have any of you seen the amount of different sports that are banning Russia and Belarus and Russian and Belarusian players?
I've not seen a total, but I could probably name at least 10 or more sports or leagues or whatever off the top of my head, so I can imagine it'd be a few more than that.
I mean, we're talking about sports that you wouldn't even think of, like archery and badminton, basketball, biathlon, curling, cycling, equestrian, like that. Fencing, gymnastics, golf, handball, field hockey, ice hockey, judo, karate. Oh, judo. So the International Judo Federation has cancelled their Grand Slam in Kazan, and they've also removed Russian President Vladimir Putin and businessman Arkady Rottenberg from all its IGF positions.
Of course, because Putin's mad for the judo, isn't he?
Karate, they're taking away the Karate Federation is relocating the 2022 Karate 1 Premier League from Moscow. Obviously, motor racing, we all know Nikita Mazepin. He's been dropped by Haas.
Right.
Cheerio.
Do you know what though? There's something I read something the other day, and I bloody knew I should have saved it. But that's saying that Haas, they've terminated his contract, but they've not terminated ties with Nikita Mazepin. It's like they're waiting for this to blow over and then bring him back, kind of thing.
Oh Christ! All right, his dad, Ural Kali guy.
I don't know how that's got a.
It's maybe just something in the contract. Like, if they sack him outright, then it'll cost them a bloody fortune. So they're waiting a certain period before they actually let him go.
Oh, I'm sure Ural Kali's funding's been removed from them, haven't they?
Aye.
Well, that's all been
they've been removed. So, but the thing is, the FIA condemned the invasion, but said Russian and Belarusian drivers could compete in a neutral capacity.
That's right. Aye, without blanket banning them.
However,
They changed that stance, so did they know?
No, it was Motorsport UK.
Aye.
They've banned Russian and Belarusian license holders from racing. I haven't seen anything about them changing their stance on that.
I was sure I'd read that the FIA had, after pressure for Motorsport UK and somewhere else, they had changed their stance, because initially they were going to let them compete under neutral flag. I could be wrong. Might have been something. There's that much going on. I could have been reading about something else, and I've conflated the two.
Maybe I've just.
No, I actually have. You're correct, mate. It's Motorsport UK that have introduced the ban. FIA would allow Russian and Belarusian drivers to compete, but under a neutral flag.
Aye, I think it's under the FIA flag.
So they opted out banning them outright.
Aye, without the national symbols and flags, colours and anthems.
Aye.
Aye. But it was Motorsport UK. They were just straight up like, nah, it's not happening. Obviously the Paralympics, all the athletes were barred from the Winter Olympics in Beijing.
Aye, that's right.
Which, funny enough, in China, there was nothing about that. So, in China, they're heavily censored as well. So if you went onto any of their social media pages and, like, put in Russia ban, or, like, athletics ban or whatever, it wouldn't come up with anything. It would just come up with, the Winter Olympics are amazing, this and that. Like, so they were, like, completely just wiping it away, man. I was like, fucking China. So obviously, World Rugby as well, they've banned Russia. Well, they've suspended Russia's World Rugby membership. They've banned the countries from international rugby and cross-border rugby as well. So no team from Russia can go and play outside of Russia, Belarus as well. Like skating, skiing, football, obviously.
Football was a big one,
Right now, FIFA have announced that any foreign player in Russia who plays in Russia can just cancel their contract with a club without repercussion and leave, which is a decent thing.
I think you've seen that with managers in Russia, certainly. There's a score of managers who are all foreign, non-Russian managers in the Russian Super League who have all left their clubs in protest.
Yep.
It's
Michael, you were saying something there?
I'm just pondering the legality of that.
I
feel like the players are probably signing legally binding contracts that goes beyond FIFA.
I don't know. This is the thing with football. With FIFA, they have their hands in everything. For contracts, it's mental. So if they're coming out and saying that, then that it must have some merit. I just got to do that with the. I mean, funny enough, the Russian national team, are going to the. They're trying to go to the arbitration, the sports.
They've lodged their appeals now, so they have to the court of
arbitration to sports. About them being banned for international football and stuff like that. We'll see what happens there. But it's interesting. Well, squash, swimming, taekwondo as well. Taekwondo revoked Putin's honorary 9th Dan black belt as well. Tennis.
9th. What?
Aye.
Wait, hold on. Now, I can just about get my head around honorary degrees for universities for famous folk, right? But how in the fuck are you going to horn out an honorary black belt for a martial art?
Money.
I don't know.
You ever watched Foxcatcher before? Money. Have you watched Foxcatcher?
Aye.
Jean Dupont.
Saw the movie and I've also watched the Foxcatcher
the documentary. Yeah.
The documentary is actually more like worrying than the movie was.
I had to watch the documentary. I had to watch it because I didn't believe the movie.
I see, it's mental, innit?
I thought that is far. They have dramatised this. They must have, and they actually probably didn't go far enough.
No, they told them to do anything.
No, they didn't.
Aye.
What they doing about that?
It's ridiculous. Aye, money is the answer there.
So in tennis as well, so the International Tennis Federation, obviously it's cancelled its events in Russia and Belarus, suspended their ITF memberships and banned them from ITF international team competitions. However, Russian and Belarusian players can compete in international events and Grand Slams, but not under their country's name or flag. Which is a weird one, I mean. But, going back to football, sorry. Your team, Everton, they had Russian sponsorships as well.
Aye, Alex Usmanov.
They've had to. So they're doing about 40 million.
That's the USM is the training ground sponsor. That's gone. Aye. And there's a couple other sponsors as well.
And I think they paid 30 million. They put down 30 million to have the naming rights of the stadium, the new stadium as well.
It was going to be the USM stadium.
That's That's gone and on. Obviously, Man U had ties with Russian companies.
The airline company, yeah.
Schalke,
Gazprom, yeah.
they cancelled its. Cancelled with that. Anyway, the reason why we're talking about all this is the amount of sportsmen that are now banned from competing from Russia and that is insane. And you remember people talking about this, like it would have little impact and this and that, but we were just talking about the bigger ones. But when you take all of these into account, like even ice hockey and stuff, I think is getting in on it and stuff. But all these people banned from taking part in competitions, these sportsmen, sportswomen, they're banned from competing in these competitions. Surely now they must be thinking, well, this is because of one man. Like, it's time to get this guy out. Like, you know,
I'm sure
the pressure is on.
I'm sure many of them will think that. The issue is it's quite a leap from thinking that and then being able to do anything about it.
Aye.
That, unfortunately, I agree with as well, Mick. Aye, is that these Russian players, sportsmen, celebrities can't just consider themselves when they announce public outcry of what's going on. They have to consider who's still living in Russia that they're connected to.
That is true.
I mean, I remember I watched the documentary Icarus.
Oh,
it was a man who was in charge.
Whatever his name is.
Aye, that's the very man. His family were harassed for months. He's still. I don't think he'd seen his wife even yet. Has he? He's in witness protection.
No.
He's still in witness protection in America. He cannot. He cannot. There's been attempts on his life. He can't come out of witness protection.
That shows you the lengths that this batshit country will go to. And that was him exposing cheating in sports. It wasn't like he exposed that Putin liked to shag dogs. Like, get what I mean? I know, sorry, I took the seriousness right out of that there. But it wasn't like he exposed some like horribly personal secret about this nut job of a man. Like, he exposed unfairness in sports and they're willing to kill the fucker. Dog shagging motherfucker. Sorry.
Anyway, so my question was that I wanted to ask you is with all these sports and stuff getting the athletes and stuff getting banned and such. Do you think it's fair? Yes, I do though. Aye, I do think it's fair.
Okay. I think there has to be a precedent set. You can't just in good conscience ignore what's going on in the wider world just because it's sport. Sport's a part of the world. It's a big reflection in society. Like, it is really unfair in certain sportsmen. Yes, I agree with that. However, this is also a country that has blanket cheated in every avenue of sport and competition for. I mean, for as long as it's been sport, there's probably been some sort of goalpost movement on in Russia. So, I mean, it's unfair, but it's to be honest, it's probably about 30 years over bloody due. Ripping them out of sport altogether because they have been ripping it out. They have been ripping it out of sport for as long as anybody can bloody remember. So, I mean, it's took a fucking horrible event for them all to be banned, but I don't feel that bad about it.
Michael?
So, to your question, is it fair? Not in the slightest. No, it's not fair at all on the athletes. But I think we're in a position where it's necessary.
Yep.
We have to paint with a broad brush at this time. We can't pick and choose who gets to compete in terms of sports and in terms of athletes. Russia needs to be shoved back in. Now, I'm saying they need to be shoved back into their corner of the world. It's a bloody big corner they've got themselves.
Yes.
But they need to be contained there. And if they want to come back out into the wider world and play our games with our boys, then they need to play by our rules. right? To use that old analogy of take your ball and get home, it's our ball. They don't get to play with it unless they play by our rules.
Yep.
It by no means comes close to fixing the wider issues, but it's a statement of intent.
It's a start. That's what it is. It's a start.
It's a start. So, just to go on for what you're saying there, yes. I also think it's unfair. I don't think it's fair in the slightest, but it's, as you said, it's necessary. It's a necessary step. And it's happened because of this horrible invasion. And the thing they say there, it's not like different sanctions and stuff, but it kind of is, because the amount of money that Russia are losing from all these sports, taking away, moving their tournaments from Russia, that runs up into the hundreds and hundreds of millions. Like all these different events that will not be there for the next how many years or whatever because it's so, well, it is helping in a way because it's taking money out the work office for them.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
All these smaller things add up to quite a damaging effect in the Russian economy. The problem is that because it's no socialist society or a fully democratic society, it's very much going to be those in the lowest rung of the ladder that feel it first, and probably for quite a bit of time before it gets to the point where it's really affecting Putin and his crew.
Yep.
But again,
you say
necessary evil.
You say that, right? But it's going to be the ones on the lowest, the ones on the lowest rungs of the ladder who get affected the most by these financial constraints, right? Well, what that's got to do is there's more people in those lower ranks than there is rungs than there is on the ones up top. So in turn, it could get them to the point where they just say, fuck it, like, you know, it's time to change. I mean, you know, go out there and start protesting in the masses. I mean, I know there's been protests already. I think right now there's over 6,000 folk being arrested and locked up in Russia.
Hats off to them, man. That is dangerous.
You know what I mean?
So proud of them.
But like, if you have like hundreds of thousands of folk taken to the street then because they're hungry, you know what I mean? They've got no electricity, they're cold, like their beans are cold, the beans are hungry and that, and they're just out in the streets. It's got to be a way to change.
There's a serious lack of humanity with that, though. To use a crude analogy, if you put a bunch of rats in a bucket and a few rats climb to the top and they're teetering in the rim, and any other rats that try to climb up to escape this bucket, they're kicking them back down. If you then take a blowtorch and you start heating up the bottom of the bucket, then all the rats at the bottom are going to go into a frenzy and they're going to rise up and they're going to topple the rats at the top. That's what we're talking about with this economy thing. Shut down their economy. The people who are at the bottom will rise up because they have got no other choice. There is a serious lack of humanity in that. I can see why it might be one of the only choices, but it's a horrible, horrible thing to think about, the position that these people would have to be put in to where they're choosing to give up their day-to-day life to go and fight for what they think's right. They're in a position where they have to fight for their life. That's a horrible notion to me. I'm not saying, you know, it's not the way to go, because I don't have an answer for what the right way to go is. But the thought of that is, it's no good.
Sad.
I know the right way.
Very sad.
Put two and put in seed. That's the right way. No, but it is a sad thing to think about. But that is essentially what the major countries are doing right now, and they know that that's what they are doing, and that's how it's got to. Well, they're hoping it's got to go that way, but
For anybody out there that can't see the bigger picture with the sanctions and stuff like that and think that does nothing, what we're describing there is ultimately what the sanctions are for. It's a longer term plan, and it's a horrible, horrible outcome for what it does to the people of Russia that, by all accounts, are innocent. You know what I mean? They'll just try to live their lives on their farms or in their wee houses or whatever, living in poverty as it is. You know what I mean? But I mean, ultimately, Putin's led them to this position where, out with an outside government going in and taking him away, there's little choice.
It's a sad state of affairs.
It is indeed, fella.
And it'd be sad for Russian athletes who are innocent in this as well, that they will not be able to play the sport that they love, and that they essentially make money from.
Yep.
Unfortunately, that's just where the cookie crumbles. When you have somebody like Putin in there that gets, sad. Could go on and talk about that for, I think maybe do a different podcast, but it'll not be a sportscast, it will be political. We went for sports, so they're full on political there. Just before we end here, I've got, I did have this, what did I call it again? Oh, the best of social media.
It's your podcast.
Oh, good.
Outstanding.
I was like, I don't know. Anyway, so I seen this picture, right? This might upset some people, but whatever. So there's 3 pictures. There's one of a lady, there's one of a man, and then there's one of Michael Jackson. So on a lady one, it says she, her, and the boy it says they, them. Comes to Michael Jackson. He.
Pronouns, pal.
That's my pronoun.
Oh dear. That's probably offensive to a large number of people. But
Aye.
I mean, it's there's humour in it.
Comedy always has offence in some way.
Oh,
but my God. That is class.
Oh, good.
Oh dear.
Oh man. So this one is this guy tweeted. He says, "I'm a bus driver. If I'm having a bad day at work, I'll look in the mirror while driving and just mutter to myself like, 'You're all cunts, aren't you?' And then I tap on the brakes twice so they all nod yes." I should sit there.
I wonder if that was the by driver boy that did that.
Oh man. This one, right? This one. Well, I'll finish with that one. I seen this joke. This is kind of like a dad joke, right? So just like, why do scuba? Sorry. Why do scuba?
Can't even get out.
Why do scuba divers roll backwards out of boats?
Don't know.
Because if they roll forward, they'd still be in the boat.
That joke.
Yes.
Oh man. I seen. This is the last one I'm going to say. It's not even a joke or anything. This is actually seen this in the news, and I thought, what the fuck? A man was ordered to carry out 75 hours of unpaid work after he deliberately farted on a police officer during a strip search and asked them, "How do you like that?"
It was like that.
I've got a rude joke I came across the other day. If you
Yes.
So I went to the doctors the other day, and the doctor told me that I need to stop masturbating. And so I asked him why, and he said, because I need to examine you now.
Oh, 100% success record in dick jokes, Michael.
Oh, God. I love it.
Aye.
I think that should be your new thing, Mick.
Joke of the week.
You'll have your monologue and then you can have a joke.
He's a joke.
Class. Oh,
brilliant.
Man. Well, unfortunately, we've come to the end of the show, lads. Aye. So, I'd like to thank you all for listening. Just remember, hit us up on social media. We'll have any suggestions, any questions you have, just shoot them our way. We love them. And yes, hope you've enjoyed it. And see you again next week. I've been the Devil Doctor. That's been the Dark Shadow and the Poison Child.
Yes,
bye,
sir.
Bye-bye, the new.
Bye.
Ta-ta.
Says away.
Bye.
Bye, baby.
You have now reached your destination.